Hello, everybody. My name is Joanne O'Sullivan, and welcome to my podcast, Just for Once. Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of Just for Once. 23 episodes. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is the podcast where I am going back out into stand-up after a long hiatus to try to finally realize my dream of getting into Just for Laughs. So, I left you in episode 22. I had just started my new comedy room. I was doing 3 shows, so I've wrapped up those 3 shows. They went really well. I'll touch base in the end, sort of what the outcome of that experience was. The one really great thing about it was when you're hosting, so I was hosting these 3 comedy nights, it gives you an opportunity to try out a lot of material, to try to write some new material, riffing off the comics who go before you. And it just so happens that right now in Toronto, most comics are trying to put together sets to submit to the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, and which is aired. So it gets aired on, the galas get aired on CBC. So it's a pretty big deal to get in. And the way that Winnipeg goes is they have themes and you write a set based on the theme. And then they pick, I'm going to say around 6 comics to do the gala based on that theme. And then that gets aired. I might be wrong in some of those details, but it's pretty close. So they sent out some, the information about what the themes were going to be. And I went through them and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try to submit to Winnipeg. I thought this is good practice for me to try to put together a set like this. And I know in this podcast, I talk about getting into Just for Laughs, but to be honest, getting into any of the major Canadian comedy festivals would be amazing. So the theme I chose was technology because I knew I had some jokes about technology. And I knew I had some shows coming up, the ones that I was hosting, to try out my set. So I'm going to let you hear. So the set that I'm about to let you hear, just the beginning of it, is actually a set I did in somebody's living room. So somebody had paid a producer to bring comics into their living room. It was a crazy thing. And anyway, I got asked to do this thing. And it went pretty well. And you're going to recognize some of these jokes, but this was me trying to put together my technology set. And a quick disclaimer, sorry for the sound quality on this. You're going to hear some like rustling, and that's because my phone that I'm taping on is in my pocket. Because it was in a living room, I wasn't mic'd, and there wasn't a stool, so I put my phone in my pocket. I will never do that again. I went back into some of my old material. I was like, I wonder if any of it's still relevant. Like, I wonder if I can use any of my old stuff. And I actually found a joke where I was complaining about how intrusive technology is. But the technology that I was complaining about was my pager. I guess my dentist had paged me about my 6-month cleaning, and I felt very violated by that. I was very upset. Now my dentist follows me on Instagram and sort of tracks my tooth decay in real time. I don't hate technology, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for technology, I actually wouldn't be married. And this is true. You probably think I mean online dating. I don't, but I will say I did online date. Like, I was online dating back when it was still embarrassing. Remember that? Does anybody remember Lava Life?
Yeah.
Right? So I was online dating when you had to dial up to online dating. So I was getting some pretty good laughs. So I was pretty satisfied. I'm like, okay, this is the beginnings of a set about technology. The rest of that set also went well, but it was not technology based. Anyway, so I went back to my material. Like, I'm hosting my own show, Invited Dress Comedy, in a few days. So I'm going to try to build on that set so I can come up with a solid 7 minutes. Anyway, so I went back to all my material. I'm like, do I have anything else about technology? And I have that green monkey joke, which anybody who listens to this podcast, I'm so sorry to be bringing up green monkey again. It was a joke that I had like 15 or 20 years ago. It used to get big laughs in the middle of the joke, but I never had a pun. It has haunted me that I could never I was convinced it was such a good premise. It deserved a punchline. Sometimes you just got to kill those jokes. I could never kill this one. And so I gave it another life. And I knew at this show, there's going to be a lot of people who knew me. So many of them have heard the Green Monkey joke. But I wanted to practice. I wanted to see what it felt like following the pager joke and the Instagram joke with this green monkey. I wanted to feel what it felt like all together. And I was like, it's my show. I'm just going to take advantage of the fact that I'm going to have an audience. There are going to be people who've heard the joke and see what that feels like. Essentially, the premise was I read an article about a true article about scientists mixing the DNA of a monkey and a jellyfish. The monkey glowed green, and I was like, how is that useful? Unless we become a nation plagued by losing our monkeys in the dark, that's not useful. And then the joke went on from there. So here we go.
And it's not that I'm against the mixing of the animals. You know, you could mix a monkey with a dog. Because could you imagine having something that loved you with the blind love of a dog and had opposable thumbs? You'd be like, hey boy, do you want to open this jar? Do you want to open this jar? And you'd be like, yes I do, yes I do, yes I do. This is like win-win for everybody, right? That's win-win. All right, who listens to my podcast? Okay, I've been trying to find a punchline for that joke for about 3 months now. This was not the one. But I'm going to keep freaking trying.
So spoiler alert, I am never going to do that joke again. I think that's it. I think once you start getting into dog voices to end your jokes, that's the natural conclusion of any joke. I mean, I can see why I tried. That's crazy technology, mixing animals like that. That is technology. But you know what? It is really, really time to put that joke to rest. So, flash forward to the end of the night. I'm waiting for the last comic. So one of my comics on my last night of invited dress couldn't make it. He was on a film set. He couldn't get there in time. I knew my headliner was going to be late because she was doing another show first. So when the guy couldn't make it, it shortened my show. So I had to go up and kill 10 minutes while I waited for my headliner to arrive. And when I'm hosting, I actually quite like doing this. So I was sitting back trying to think of what I should do. And then I decided, since I couldn't think of anything else, and I had been traumatized by bringing Green Monkey, by raising it from the dead, that I was just going to tell the audience sort of the genesis of Green Monkey. And so this is the last time. Oh God, I hope this is true. I'm in control of that decision, but I really hope I make it this time. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to try to find a punchline anymore. I'll let you, to kill time, I told the audience the history of Green Monkey as my tribute to it before I laid it to rest forever. So goodbye, Green Monkey. Rest in peace. I will let you hear my tribute.
So here's what's happening. There's a comic who's stuck on set, and there's another one who's rushing here. And I'm going to kill some time in between that. So while I do that, I am going to walk you through the history of the Green Monkey joke, because I think it's time to do that. I think it's time to make you realize the various punchlines that I have had for this joke, and I'm going to really break down for you why they haven't worked, like in some serious specificity. So the Green Monkey joke, you know, that's like the monkey in the... That's true, by the way. Does anybody actually know that story, the jellyfish with the green monkey? It's really true. Here's a spoiler alert. It was 20 years ago when I started telling that joke. I was single. And the punchline about the opposing thumbs had a sexual nature. I thought it would be funny. You know, a dog with opposable thumbs. Guess what he might do? Bestiality wasn't funny, I learned. So I moved on from that. And then I learned about joke reverses, where it's where the audience thinks you're going to say something and then you say something different. So then I would imply I was about to say bestiality, and then I was like, but he's going to do your laundry. Yeah, see, that wasn't very funny either. So then I moved on from that. But I swear to God, and so then tonight I was like literally walking here. I walked to the show and I made up like the dog with the opening of the jars. And I thought if I did the dog voice, I'd really like to do that. That's like comedy gold. So I really thought that was going to be the killer for the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. No. But at the back of the room, I suddenly realized realized I have never, ever mixed the jellyfish with something. That's my punchline. Do you get where I'm going here? So I've always mixed the dog with something and gave the something opposable thumbs. But like the jellyfish is what makes things glow green. And the whole thing that I say about plagued by losing our things in the dark, that's the funny part. You guys didn't really laugh, but you're my quiet, friendly audience. You don't laugh at me. Maybe the joke is that, I blend my keys with the jellyfish because I am plagued with losing my keys. But it raises the question, do keys have DNA? And if keys have DNA, is that technology?
Don't worry, I am not going to start doing a version of that joke where I start mixing the jellyfish with things. I swear. Goodbye, Green Monkey. Rest in peace, old friend. You served me well. But here's the funny thing. So do you notice how at the end of that, I got a pretty big laugh on me saying, is that technology? The reason why I got that laugh is because about 45 minutes before, in between two other comics while I was hosting, a comic did a whole set on animals, which is also a theme for Winnipeg. So I came clean to the audience. I was like, look, we're all practicing, trying to put these things together. I'm doing technology. I guess she's doing animals. And so that's why these sets seem to be themed tonight. And then I made a confession that I wasn't even sure what technology was. Earlier that night, I had actually Googled technology, and part of it was like the completion of objectives. So I just sort of improvised this joke of what is technology? Like if I gain 5 pounds and jerry-rig my pants to fit, is that technology? And I started there and I sort of just went off and it got some pretty good laughs. And that's the irony. That me making that stuff up will probably become the second half of my technology set. So out with the old, goodbye Green Monkey, but I came up with this new thing. And that is the beauty of hosting for me anyway. You have to, in between the comics, you have some freedom to make some stuff up. And often that's where I do my best work. And I'm sorry I didn't tape that. I was just going up between comics. It never occurred to me to tape it, so I didn't. I have 2 more shows to practice that set before I try to submit it. So if that happens and if it goes well, I'll let you hear it that way. So that was great. And ultimately, the 3 invited dress comedy shows that I did went well. I think the bar is interested in having me come back. I'm not sure if I want to do it monthly or weekly. It was a lot of work doing it weekly. But the payoff is, I don't have a lot of time to go out. So hosting a show kind of for me feels like 2 or 3 little shows because I get these opportunities to riff off the acts that went before me. But it is a lot of work. So I'm still deciding between weekly or monthly, and I will let you know about that as well. But it was so nice to be hosting again. I really loved it. And it helped me come up with this great bit that maybe I'll get to use. I had also mentioned that I would follow up on the television show that I've been pitching, sort of an addendum dream to this other dream. Anyway, things in television work at a snail's pace. The big update is we're working on contracts. I had the contract, they had the contract, then I had the contract, now they have the contract, and we're waiting. And that pretty much sums up TV in a nutshell. Comedy moves at a much quicker pace, so I'm sorry that's not a more exciting update. I'll just end with a reminder that you can see pictures from the shows that I'm doing, from the invited dress comedy, from the shows that I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks on my Instagram, Just For Once Podcast. You can email me at any time, justforoncepodcast@gmail.com with any questions or thoughts or just to say hello. I hope if you have a moment, you can maybe like this podcast, give me a rating or a comment. That's how you build an audience. And I hope you're all dusting off your own dreams. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.